Good morning, viewers. Welcome to McElroy's Motors and the first video of 2025.
It is the second video of 2025. I need to get my facts straight.
And in today's video, I have a bit of a confession to make. I'm gay! What? No, that is not my confession at all. Go away, will you? Okay, then. If you've been following my YouTube channel recently or at all, you'll know that this is my 1997 Saturn SL1 that I have had since October. It's been a fantastic car. It has covered 6,500 miles since I purchased it back then, but despite everything, it definitely needs some regulatory maintenance. Here's exactly what it needs. Like I said before, I've had this car since October, and it's been an absolutely fantastic little car. It has got me to Kentucky and back, no problem. It's got me to Washington, D.C. and back, absolutely no problem. And despite little regulatory maintenance things, I really can't complain about this car despite being a little on the dull side. But the next problem it has is quite a big one. I'm making sure nobody's behind me. There is nobody behind me right now, so I'm going to start braking. The pedal's pushed about halfway down, 3/4, all the way down. Yeah. Turns out my front brake calipers are now completely and utterly shot. Despite everything though, this car with the exhaust splitting, replacing the spark plugs, and now this, everything is costing me less than $500 to replace everything. Which is pretty crazy if you consider the fact that this is my grandfather's 2016 Jeep Compass. He's had it for about 4 years and only had to replace the tires once, about 2 months ago. And that cost him a mere $750 for tires! For tires! And what do you know? With the Jeep having 55,000 miles on it and having a CVT transmission, who would have guessed who's having transmission issues first? Would you guess a 28-year-old Saturn? You'd be wrong. It's this. I think it is also safe to say that my Saturn 2 could benefit from fresh rubber, mainly because I don't think it wants an unwanted pregnancy. Besides, these tires on this car are from 2015. So, that begs the question, which is older, my high school graduation or the tires on this car? Well, to find out, I have this useless piece of paper that you get after completing 13 years of waking up early, facing detention and whatnot, and it is my high school diploma. And it goes back to 2016. So that means I was a junior in high school when these tires were new. How I made it to Washington, D.C. and back remains a miracle, but I think it is time to get it replaced. But that being said though, I do not think 14-inch tires for the Saturn, at least for a whole set, would cost me $750. I am betting you that I could probably get a whole set for this car for $300 max, depending on tax and of course where I get them from, as well as the brand I choose to go for. And what's even more amazing still is the shop I actually took the Saturn to not only was able to diagnose the leaky brake caliper, but also they're willing to replace the left front for about $185 after tax, and the remaining 3 absolutely free of charge. In fact, when I took this car into the shop just to see how bad the brake calipers were, because I knew that this car was starting to leak brake fluid because I was topping it off about once a week or so, I asked the mechanic on the scale of 1 to 10, how bad is the leak? And he responded by saying,
I give it a 12.
So now knowing that the front brake calipers in the Saturn need to be replaced as well as all 4 of its tires, I also want to take a leaf out of the book and make this thing the ultimate road trip ready machine. And by which I mean the first thing I want to do is upgrade the radio. This car has the stock head unit from Saturn. It has no CD or cassette player, and I do want to take a leaf out of the book and actually upgrade it myself. And when I mean upgrade is install something that has CD, USB, aux, Bluetooth, you name it. Something to keep up with modern times. And don't get me wrong, the radio sounds good in this car, but when I'm driving through the hills and dales of Pennsylvania getting to Maryland, I'd rather listen to something else besides country. I'm more of a 70s, 80s, and 90s rock kind of guy. So now knowing the overall braking issue that this car has, what am I gonna do about it? I know. Come here, little spider. Come here, little... Ah, I got it! It's on me! That. Well, for starters, unlike the hairstyle of Donald Trump, this car can and will be saved. I do have the knowledge and know-how of how to replace calipers as well as shock absorbers, but given the fact that Mother Nature's ejaculation is surrounding me like a very thick blanket right now, I'm not going to take the leaf out of the book and do the repair myself, hence why I'm going to take the car directly to a shop. So I would like to give this car a big chance, mainly because this car has just under 61,000 miles, and that is frankly astonishing given the fact that this car is older than I am. And it's been fantastic. But also later in the year, not only am I planning to go back to DC for the Trabant Parade, but also I would like to drive this car to South Carolina to visit my friend Joseph. But before I do any of that, I would like to take this car to a Saturn car show, the second annual Saturn car show, which is being held at the Auburn Cord Duesenberg Automobile Museum in Auburn, Indiana, which I went to last year. So it'd be really cool to catch up with some of my friends who also own Saturns, as well as some staff who actually work at the museum as well, because I have not seen them since around August or so it'd be pretty cool to catch up with them once again. I will also say that despite me spending $35 on these aftermarket hubcaps, I am pretty surprised by how well they're holding up. Granted, they're not the best quality out there, but at the same time, I really can't complain given their low cost. But at some point, I do want to take a leaf out of the book by actually installing some alloy wheels on this thing, maybe some black ones perhaps, I don't know. But at the same time, I am very happy with these hubcaps, but I do want to take a leaf out of the book and put some alloys on this thing. My friend CJ in Indiana has a Saturn SL2, to which he actually put some Mini Cooper alloys on his. And I'm not too big on modifying my car, especially with parts that were not meant for the car originally. But I gotta say, with the alloys that he has on his car, it actually looks pretty darn smart. I also have to fix this dome light, and the reason why the way it is right now is because my cousin, who lives in Wales, came by and visited me not too long ago, and bear in mind, he's really tall. He is 7'4", and yet he tried cramming himself into this car, and I knew that the dome light was a little loose when I bought it, but when he got in the car, he ended up smacking his head on the dome light, causing it to fall down. So that is just a small repair. I'm sure maybe some super glue or indeed some Velcro might do the trick. I also want to take a leaf out of the book and go back to school. I have not set foot in a college or university campus since 2016. And I really want to go back because I really want to expand my knowledge of how to operate motor vehicles. Granted, I know how to drive a forklift, I know how to drive a Trabant, and of course I know how to drive a car as well. But at the same time, I want to learn how to drive something that has more than just 4 wheels. I want to learn to drive something that has 18 wheels. I think that would be just chef's kiss. So with that out of the way, that concludes some of the plans I have made for 2025. If you liked, feel free to like, comment, as well as subscribe to McElroy's Motors today, and I'll have more videos coming along soon. I absolutely hate winter, but I gotta say, if there's one thing I love about it, is watching these icicles form.